we've got Switzerland and Sydney. So thank you guys for taking the time. I really appreciate it. We're going to go from 8 to 9, and that hour will be entirely devoted to yourself and filling up the love tank and giving you clarity. It's for the webinar is designed for single ladies that's ready to be in a beautiful, ideal relationship. And this is the reason why I'm here, is feeling that energy and feeling that intention, and we're all messages, and it's important for me to be able to deliver this message to you. You all have that beautiful wisdom, you all have that knowing, and thank you for listening to your intuition and feeling guided to be here. So please trust your knowing, sit back, enjoy. We'll be doing a little bit of journaling and processing. It will be interactive. It'd be great if every now and again that you're able to type a few things in the question box so we can go through that together. If you feel like sticking around from 9 o'clock onwards for about half an hour, I'll be here to answer your questions. 3 people have already emailed me today, so your questions will definitely be answered and addressed. Design the questions around you and be able to personalize that. My background is sensitive, but I look on it as that awareness keeps us on track, and it gives us understanding of who we are as souls, but also too it gives us an understanding of other people. And when we are able to step into that knowing and step into that intuition, then it allows us to take away the criticism or the judgment. So I got to be in Perth for quite a long time, and then I had a huge pull to come to Sydney probably about 10, 12 years ago, and I was there to do a very quick course and then come back. And so when I spoke to Mum when I came back, she just really gave me the green light and said, you know what, there's nothing here for you anymore in Perth. It's really important that that you go to Sydney. So I pretty much packed up everything and didn't know anyone in Sydney and just sort of landed. But knowing in my heart, 100% knowing that that was the right decision, knowing that I'd be taken care of, everything fell into place. And I guess as I use that example for myself, and I share that with you all here, is that you just know. You just know your path. You know that you're meant to meet him. And everyone has a contract, so it's wonderful that everyone heard that today and felt that intention to be here. So look on it as that you're really only one click away from having the life that you want in every area of our life. And we're human and we forget. And this is the part of the remembrance today, is gathering on this webinar and knowing that you have that awareness again. So I've adored every minute of being here in Sydney. I just really thrive here. It's got to meet Merv, which of course was the cherry on the top. And that's why I knew that I had to be. Landed here, there was a crystal store called Living Energies, and I said to the manager, you know, could I do some massage work and healing work here? Is the room big enough to have a massage table? And so she said, yes, it is. It's pretty squish. But we had in Perth, she's a GP, but sessions that we had, she said, Simone, when you go to Sydney, I really see you doing readings, and she told me how many readings that I'd be doing a day, and I just thought that that was so out there, and I just smiled really sweetly and went, okay. And so, of course, as I lovingly look back at that conversation, I go, wow, talk about universe and everyone having my back, that they could foresee my journey, and I guess that I just had to slide into that and trust the process and fall into that. So I did do readings, and I remember that day I probably had about 10 in, and every time that I wanted to step out thinking, yes, I've finished, or yes, I can go to the toilet, or there'd be another person. And I remember going home just feeling so overwhelmed in a great way. My heart just felt so loved and cherished, and just knew that that was the right thing for me to do, and that was part of my life purpose. So in bringing that forward, where I guess I niched have now is moved into more mentoring. And so leaving, I guess, the readings a little bit alone, because I always say that you know the answers, and I'm not here to give you predictions on what he'll look like or anything like that, but I do have that intuitive strategy and that plan as it unfolds. So that's my niche, is to be mentoring, and I love writing, and I love being at the Mind Body Spirit Festival also, as well, being able to do presentations, as well as also be with you guys here too. So in following the energy, I really acknowledge that everyone had 100% intention in being here tonight. It wasn't 50, it wasn't 60. You had to do more than just log on. There was a few steps, and there was a few procedures with that. I'm sure that probably your monkey mind might have gone, yes, I'll go on it, no, I won't, yes, no, yes, no. So there would have been a lot of distractions and obstacles possibly for you to be online. So I really deeply respect that you're here, and keep focusing on that part of that energy tonight. We're going to be able to keep sparking that and lifting that up, and following that intention. So what I'd like you to be able to do now is, if you do have pen and paper, before you write, what I'd love you to be able to do is just take a deep breath in, and out, and just one more breathe in and out. Tonight's about discovering why you are here and keeping clear with that intention. So what I'd like you to be able to do is to either one word or one sentence. What brought you here? Why were you guided? What would you like to receive tonight? What confirmation are you looking for? Welcome to the ones that have joined us also as well. Please know that you haven't missed anything out. There will be a recording, always in the right place at the right time. So just jot down what your intention is to receive. And if you've done that in your journal, just please pop one word or one sentence in the question box, just so I can keep that intention for you and hold that space, and to also to keep me on track, but also to honour that. Okay, so guidance and certainty. That's a great word, with the certainty. There's a couple of us on Saturday that went to NIDA, and Ian Elliott talked about certainty, that we all want certainty, and I think that was part of, I guess, my journey for the last 10 years. Is the reason why people come to me, is because they're not sure. But that's the whole part of tapping into our intuition, is that we do have the answers. But thank you. So more intimacy with my husband, getting ready to be in a relationship. Cool. Waiting for a relationship. Okay, Thank you so much for sharing and interacting. So I like to benchmark things, and so out of 10, if you can start with the first question, and I'll just read it as we go along. Are you ready to work on yourself? So just out of 10, 10 going, yeah, absolutely, I'm willing to put the energy and the effort in every day, to go, oh no, I can't be bothered, or don't feel like it, or I don't have time, or what are the steps and processes for that? So just out of 10, are you ready to work on yourself? The next one is, are you ready to date? So 10 going, yes, absolutely. So if I said, great, hop off the webinar and, he's knocking at the door, how ready is your eagerness? Or is there hesitancy still, or does that freak you out? What do you have to do to prepare to have that date? And the next one is, are you ready to be in a relationship? So yes, it is, Karen, 10 for every question. Yes, sweetheart, to benchmark it out of 10. Are you ready to be in a relationship? Are you ready to be in a relationship this year for 2013? What's your time frame? Are you ready to be in a marriage? And are you ready to have children? So as I said before at the beginning, tailor-make it to whatever that you are. I know that there's some people that are single. I know that there's some that's also married on here. So just choose the questions, the ones that jump out to you. And the last one, what are 3 things that you could offer to your partner? What would you like to share from your heart? And with that one there, once you've done that with your journaling, what are the 3 things that you'd like to offer your partner? If you could just type in one thing in the question box, what would you like to offer back? I'd love to be able to see that and read that out so everyone else can also be included in. Beautiful. Okay, so you'd like to share happiness. My beautiful life journey. My authentic self, yes, thank you. Honesty, devotion, my love, mutual spiritual growth. Just take this moment now just to write one word on your piece of paper. How are you feeling? It's really important that you check in and just put a love heart around that. Welcome, Zoe. Lovely to see you. Lovely for all of you to be here, all around Australia and also to overseas. Now this next part of the picture, the who and the what and the when and the how. Wow, did I bombard my mum so much, knowing that how highly intuitive that she was, and would see her in action with other people and other clients growing up. That was probably my only question. My favourite question is, when's he going to come? Where's my knight in shining armour? Where's my partner? And that's the only thing that I ever really wanted to know. And when I think back on this, I'm really glad that she actually didn't tell me. She had the wisdom and the knowledge and all of that put together, but she would often smile at me also, and just, I had to figure it out myself. I had to find that missing jigsaw piece, and I know that that missing jigsaw piece was myself. So it's so interesting that 10 years later, that's probably been the questions, the burning questions that everyone asks me is, when's he going to come and how's it going to come? So I know that that's a big thing for you all being here today, and we'll definitely uncover that, and that you also too have the key, and the key is inside of you. And the more logic that we go in, and the thoughts that consume us, and the whole part of going into that reptile brain and monkey brain, it actually slows down the process. So being on the webinar tonight is about your intuition, it's about your feeling, and it's about your knowing and tapping back into that. And you know, the questions that we often have then start to dissolve, and it really doesn't matter, and then everything else just starts to show up anyway by magic. So in coming to those thoughts, we think up to 120,000 thought processes a day, which is huge. And this is probably why we're so drained we drain ourselves with our thoughts, and this is the reason why sometimes being around others can be draining. The morning time I find is really sacred, from sort of 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. and then as more traffic emerges and people are rushing off to work, everything gets a little bit static. So my encouragement on your path is, sometimes we can't always afford to spend 20 minutes to meditate, and sometimes we don't even want to meditate. So I always say just check in an hour, every hour on the hour, just 1 minute, just to see how you're feeling. I call it like the soul tank or the love tank, and that's what we're doing tonight, is decreasing those thoughts and encouraging it to be uplifted. So I like working in threes, and if you can write this down now, is like, thoughts, feelings and actions, and if you can kind of keep that as your mantra for the next couple of weeks. If we've got really beautiful, loving thoughts, we're going to feel fantastic. And if we feel fantastic, then we're going to be able to share that with people. And if we share that, we're like a magnet to all the good things in our life. But if our thoughts are going really fast and dragging us down and pulling us down, then we pretty much feel really tired and heavy and gluggy, and we don't actually feel like doing anything. So this is probably the start of everything, is just be mindful what you're thinking. It's only a thought away. When I kept saying to you that it's only a click, it really is only a click. This extract is from a book called You Can Heal Your Life by Louise L. Hay, and that was such a beautiful book that took me out of a deep pain into more of a loving embrace for myself. And just take this moment just to read it. It's really beautiful, and it's so true. The cool thing about it with Louise is that she likes to break things down. So, even if it's like, what is that concept of I must love myself? Just be willing. Be willing to be kinder to yourself. Be willing to like yourself. And that whole part of it, as you keep liking yourself, you're building confidence, and you're building self-respect and self-esteem, and you're honouring who you are. So when I was back in Perth, there was a lady called Mary Heath, and she did an 8-week study group in her home. And I know when I was there, the very first evening, I just bawled my eyes out. I just cried and cried and cried. There was just deep pain in my heart from everything that I had created up till then. And so being with her, she actually gave me hope that I could actually clear my past, and didn't really know what she did, but I kind of made that decision very strong that whatever that she was doing, I really wanted to be a part of it. So Mary was one of my first mentors, but the book definitely helped me on my journey. So in scrolling it forward, there's beautiful Louise a couple of years ago, and I had a column at that time, and it was her birthday, so it was wonderful to be able to make a birthday tribute, but for her to also sign it and to also be it. So one of her mantras is, I am safe. And I think that will be one of the things that I'll often say for the rest of my life. So most of the time we feel physically safe, but the decisions that we often make come more from an emotional basis. And I know whenever I say that 3 times in my head, I am safe, it really helps. She's also really big on everything is sort of in its divine place, perfect space, time and sequence. So like tonight, we're all in the right place at the right time, and if you're trusting your spiritual contract, and if we refer back to our love life, then also too that you must trust and know that you'll also be in the right place at the right time, that there isn't any chasing, that there isn't any seeking, there isn't anywhere to go. The only place that you actually need to go is inside. Inside is the one that's got the comfort and the reassurance, but we often step outside. And outside is the distractions, and outside is the obligations and the routine, and we forget. So when Marcia said about her authentic self, when you top that love tank up, we stay in our authentic self, and it feels fantastic. There's nothing more beautiful and more alive when you're with someone that's in their authentic being. Well, back then in Perth, I liked my list. and I still really like my list. And the reason why I like my lists or my journaling is they're love notes or checklists to universe. And so when you're actually writing those things down, or the things that are important to you, you can actually check and you can actually go back. And it's not about a daily reference, but whether it's in 2 weeks or 6 months or 12 months, when you have a look at your list of the things that are important to you and your intentions, it's like such a great awareness and going, wow, that actually got created. So one of those things that I did back in Perth was I really wanted to buy property. And on my list, I said, wow, I'd really like to live close to the city. I'd love to have black and white tiles. I'd like to have floorboards, great transport, a pool and a spa, and that would be great. Thank you, universe. So in just me describing a little bit of that for you, it's like you can get to see the picture. And it's like a blank wall. You know, if there's nothing on there, then that's exactly what you get. So universe will come to you each day and go, what would you like? How can I serve you? How can I provide you and support you and be there and nourish you? And sometimes we forget. So in your own way tonight, we've all asked for this to happen, and the mechanism and the how is the webinar, and tomorrow and the next day and the next day there'll be something else. So in my journey of doing my list, Jim was there to help me, and he was the real estate man that brought that all together. So I told him my list, and it was about 9 o'clock in the morning, and he just said to me, awesome, that's fantastic. I have the perfect place for you. Now, my belief system and my level of receiving, I didn't want to receive it. I actually didn't believe that it was true. So I said, no, just show me all these other places that you've got on your list. And many hours later, and really ugly places, I was just like, wow, I felt really deflated and going, oh gosh, this is really a lot harder than what I thought. So he just really looked at me and he just said, do you want to see your place now? It's getting close to 5 o'clock. I remember being peak hour, and I said, yes, please, have a look at this place. I walked in and it was everything that I had envisaged and more. And the good thing about it is you didn't have to go into the whole place. It was just stepping in to the doorway and that part of that energy and that vibration. So if I refer it to love life, no, ladies and gents, that you don't need to go on 3 dates, 6 dates, I'll just give it another try, maybe this will work out. When he stands there in front of you, you just have a knowing, and it just greets you and it envelops you, and it has that complete trust. So of course I was squealing and very excited, and Jim just kept saying, you know, they're going to bunk up the price. But it was awesome. So what I did then is I went, well, if that really works for a house, it's got to I've got to somehow translate this for my relationship and love life. So I was in Sydney at that time, and it was not very long that I went to the Mind Body Spirit Festival at Darling Harbour as a visitor. And I remember a man called Paul doing a soulmate relationship workshop for a couple of hours, and I went, yes, goody, let me sign up and let's just see what I can uncover. And the biggest part of the journey was getting very clear on what I wanted and what I didn't want. And I remember him standing behind my right shoulder, peering over, looking at what I had written, and he's like, wow, that's a huge list. Do you want to go out with God? And I just went, well, you've all heard Merv speak today, and some of you know him. No one is perfect, far from it. But what it did is it got me really clear. And I kind of had to be very clear and specific that I had to have some deal breakers. And I know back in Perth, unfortunately, I kept attracting men that would be smoking cigarettes, but also too that would take drugs. And that was part of my no deal breaker. Now I'm going, you know what, that's really harsh on my soul, and I can't do that anymore. It was a very painful journey. So I really wanted a clean slate, but I really wanted also to someone that would share the spiritual journey, and that I could have the same lingo, and that if I liked certain things and said certain things, that they wouldn't think that I was weird and out there. thank you, KJ, for joining us. Just to let you know also as well that there will be a recording, so sit back and enjoy. So the list, ladies, is important, is more the emotional list, the qualities. So I would go to town and, write at least 10, 20, 30. You can always send me your list. That's probably the most important. Sure, the framework of it, if you really wanted to do the physical, on what he would look like. I just know, though, that it's not as important because the whole part of the journey is always being that flexible. So, if you wrote the description and then he appeared and his physical description wasn't exactly what you'd asked for, but his emotional qualities and who he stood for and his value system was strong, then I would trust that you would that you would take that and receive that as that whole package. So I had so much fun doing that, and it's just such a great way of plugging in on it. And if there's things like I really would like him to be loving and kind and peaceful and joyful, then this is part of you being the vibrational match and you flipping that and going, wow, am I always loving? Am I always kind? Am I always joyful? We must be that consistently for ourselves because our body loves it, but we also too must show that to the world and also to our partners. They deserve that completely. In waiting, we're always waiting for something, whether we're lining up at the shops, whether we're at the ATM, we're always waiting, and so my encouragement for you is stop waiting and start asking and even demanding it. And I use this word demand, I don't mean it in an aggressive way or an arrogant way, but if you don't ask, you don't get. So in writing my book, Say Yes to Love, it's been wonderful to be able to reflect back of 8-10 years ago of actually how did I attract Merv? How did it happen? And when I was studying with Ezio in mediumship, Merv's mother had passed away, who I hadn't met, but through my training I was able to connect with her and we had some amazing connections. And part of, I guess, my belief system was going, wow, I should wait it out because of this, this, and this. And so after one conversation with Sharon, I just said, you know what? If your son does not contact me, I'm out. That's it. As you know, Merv's a very quiet man and a very shy man, and so when he rang that week, I saw his number on my mobile and I absolutely freaked out and I didn't take the call and listened to it and, oh, wow. So all of that started to speed up. So whether you're asking for a car space, whether you're asking for green lights, the whole part of it is you've got to be consistent asking. We have so many irritations during the day that keep us and block us from what we're actually wanting. So if I come back to your intention, you all had this 100% intention to be here. You all asked in your own way. So this is so important to stop waiting. If you do want a relationship this year, just grab your pens and paper again and just write the day and the month and the year. And if you feel bold enough, please share in the question box. If you're already in a relationship, then when would you like it to improve? How can you engage in that? Date nights are fantastic. So even if you put a date down in the next 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, when are you going to take that person, your beautiful partner, on a date and enjoy that company? It's all about the being. I know that we sometimes get programmed a different way. And so my philosophy is be, do, have. When you're being that vibration, you can do things and have things. But we're taught, going, you know what, go to school, go to high school, get a degree, get a fantastic job, have your children, get married, retire. And then when you retire, you can have time to relax and have the lifestyle and write the book and go on holidays and renovate, where it's like, wow, that's just too long to have to wait. So in attracting your relationship and true love, it's very much about your being. It's very much about your presence. It's very much about your authenticity. So I'm going to say to everyone, that's your full-time job. That's your full-time job, and it's like it's a fantastic job to have to be, is just to have that relaxed vibration, because then everything starts to click in. I love asking also to universe to keep active is what's my next step. So if you write that down, what is my next step? And you can fill in the blank during the day. So whether you're in the shower, whether you're going for a walk, whether you're washing the dishes, what's my next step? And then the brain really likes to be kept active with that. But universe will also give you the next step if you're listening. Okay, and that may come through a dream, it may come through a person, it may come through a sign. You must create for you to get started. There's the middle and the end, but you have to spark it, and you also have to want it. So my encouragement is to know your why. Start with 5, but my encouragement is to really look at 5, 10, 20 reasons of why you want to be in a relationship. It's a little bit like New Year's resolutions. Sometimes we say that we want to do it, but then we forget to check in. So I'm not really good at tenting or camping, but just coming back to that scenario of visualizing, if I was left to put up the tent in the next half an hour and that you came back, it may look okay and the structure may be there, but actually when you hop in, things start to dissolve and the pegs start to leave, and then, you know, half an hour later the tent has flown away. So your why has to be really strong. When you know what your why is, heaven and earth will move that. This is one of my favourite sayings: a year from now you'd wish you'd started today. Thank you everyone again for being here tonight. You've started. You've more than started. So if you know your why, then to keep plugged in, you also need to know your reasons. And you have to know your reasons and your benefits to keep you plugged in of going, well, why do I want to be in a relationship? Okay, so I want you to build a case while you're journaling of why am I investing in myself? Why am I investing in this relationship? What are my reasons? What are my benefits? How am I going to stay in and not jump out and get distracted and be wishy-washy? If you could write this down, what would it mean if I got it? What would it mean if I got it? And my encouragement is to keep saying it and keep writing it down. And it's like a beautiful onion layer. What I want you to do is kind of keep taking that out and just keep pulling that apart. And what would it mean if I got it? Because I know that if I was sitting in front of you right now and listening to your answer, you'd say one thing. And I just want you to kind of keep pivoting and pivoting and pivoting with that, because I know that that's going to be really chunky and that's going to give you a lot of awareness. Oh, I love that. Beautiful Emma said that she's going to email her babysitter to arrange a date night. How delicious, fantastic. It's so important to book that in, and as we're preparing, but also to taking that next step. These are the beautiful seeds, the start, the middle, and the end, and are you going to follow through? So there's a season to sow and there's a season to reap, and we must plant our seeds with love and joy and gratitude. The way that we check in, though, is really important, and the way that we wait also too is really important. So, you know, just like on an intuitive level, you know that if your phone's on silent, you know that no one's texted you, but we can keep checking it and checking it and checking it. It's also to like the bank account, we know that no one's deposited money today, but I'll just hop back online and I'll keep checking and checking and checking. So all of that actually chokes creation, and all of that actually makes it really heavy. So we want to kind of keep our creations light and joyful and playful and in gratitude. So plant your seeds. You've more than started with your intentions, but have a look at that of going, well, is it important for me to follow through? Where do I get stuck? Okay, and if you keep looking at your why and you keep looking at your reasons and keep looking at your benefits, then you won't have the opportunity to keep pulling in and pulling out. Okay, that yes, I want to be in a relationship. No, I don't want to be in a relationship, but it's going to be hard, or I'm scared he's going to hurt me, or I'm going to keep repeating the same patterns. Look on tonight as a clean slate. And look on it also too that you're a different person than what you were 10 minutes ago, let alone last year. So make 2013 your year. Enjoy the process. Have a strategy and have a plan, because like anything, whether you're planning for a wedding, an event, going around the world, renovation, it takes that planning and it takes that preparation. So you're more than ready to be able to receive this. In journeying your why and your reasons, it's important that you do some journaling in the next couple of days and couple of weeks. I really want you to start looking at your blocks and your reasons and your excuses. What is the thing that always gets in the way? So I use the word but, B-U-T-T. I don't use it in a sentence, but I always say the only but that you have is the one that you sit on. So if you can grab your pens and paper again, I really want to be in a relationship, but. Fill in the but. Where do you get stuck? Where do you feel like you get held back? I really would love to be in a relationship, but. And if you feel like writing it in the question box, I'll read it out and I'll support you and see if we can dissect that. What gets in the way? What's hard? I don't want to get hurt again. I'm scared of being hurt. Okay, so we might pause on there. That was someone's question, that I don't want to get hurt again. And the great thing that my mum would say to me, because I didn't want to get hurt as well after all the men that I chose to date and go out with in Perth, I didn't want to be in that vibration at all. But one thing that she'd often would say to me was that, you know what, Simone, it's better to love than not to love. And that was like a light bulb moment. I went, you know what, I've just got to give it a go. So the ego loves to build separation. It really wants you to be miserable and upset, whereas the intuition feels light and it has synergistic energy, and it just feels wonderful to be in harmony and flow. So it's really important that you look at your excuses. My encouragement is, whatever that your but was, can you pick up your pen and just look on it as going, when did this start? When did I start thinking this or feeling this? And just put a date down and a year down, and just scroll back in your mind's eye. And if you feel like typing this, because all I know is that the part of being hurt again or I'm scared, it didn't happen recently. So let's just track this. Even if you feel like raising your hands, was it 5 years ago? Was it 10 years ago? Okay, thank you for the answer. So 2007, August, thank you for being so specific. See, the body and the soul, 8 years ago, thank you. See, the body and the soul can't do that. That's why we get drained. Okay? So make a decision tonight of going, you know what, if that's my excuse not to have love, then I have to let that go. You have to trust that he's waiting for you as well. And we look on it that we have to be all whole and complete, and I've got to just do a bit more work, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. You already are whole and complete. You already are perfect. We're on this journey. We're going to be always working on ourselves. But don't let that hold you back. The reptile brain, this is how we cope, or maybe not cope. Have a look at the way that if you're in conflict, or if you're upset with yourself or upset with your partner, what do you do? Because I like that with that chameleon, and it's just like when you see that out in nature, it's like, I'm hiding, you can't really see me. It's like, are you serious? I can see that. And so part of in the creation and focusing on your love life is staying in the game and staying in that energy flow and not hiding. So it's like he's not going to find you by staying at home. And I always encourage that you don't have to go pubs or clubbing, but you have to be engaged and you have to take that initiative. So really look at your past relationships and going, wow, do I go as chameleon and freeze, or do I really like a good fight? Do I like to snap? Do I like to tear off his head? Am I hungry for something? Am I craving for something? So it's power struggles. And often you'll see that in soulmate relationships is one's right and one's wrong. And sometimes you may swap positions, but either position's not really nice. It's not nice to feel that you're right and you'll make every headway for that person to be wrong. Both positions don't feel good at all. So we're hardwired for this reptilian brain. And all it is just looking at on that now, like with a little bit of sense of humor, going, cool, how do I cope? How do I not cope? How do I respond? How do I react? How do other people engage with me? If you do get a bit reptilian and you do feel a bit feisty, and you are feeling a little bit conflicted in yourself or with others, then it takes usually 20 minutes for the adrenals just to slow right back down. And so my encouragement is please don't engage in conversation with someone, whether it's a text or an email or a phone call, or if your partner's in front of you. When you're in that mode, you'll just keep fighting and the other person will keep chasing. So it's just important just to take that little bit of space. Nothing ever goes away until it's taught us what we need to know. Be mindful as the lessons come that you have new awareness, and sometimes we get triggered by things. But as you keep growing and as you keep working on your daily rituals every day and as you keep moving forward, this will start to decrease, because everyone comes in different disguises. And I look on them as everyone has earth angels, and we all look different and we all act different. But sometimes a conversation with a stranger can completely change your life. And that's all it is just knowing how far that you've come. And knowing also too that as we keep moving forward in our journey, that it's there to grow and to keep changing us. It's all about your awareness. So please don't be harsh on your soul. Our daily little rituals are so important to keep us topped up. So you'll hear of me speaking about the dumping journal. And in hot weather, we may have 1 shower, 2 showers, 3 showers a day. So we're physically being cleared and we're physically letting go of other impurities. But often we carry old conversations from the past in our head, old irritations, conversations, people that have upset us. And it's so important just to write that out on a piece of paper. And if you want to throw it away or if you want to burn it, it just burns out that old energy and that old memory. You're creating space. The next process is to start with your journaling. Be grateful for the day, be grateful for what you'd like to be able to receive. So we keep coming back to that thoughts, feelings and actions. Everyone will have different rituals. During the week I understand that as we're busy with our work, that you may only adopt a few, but especially on the weekend, your Saturday and Sunday, it's really important that you really activate that. I'm really big on sharing about telepathic work and connecting, and you can do this with everyone. I did this a lot before Merv and I got together. I lived at Watson's Bay, which was near the water, and when the ferry would come past, I would talk to the ferry and send lots of energy and love to Manly. And it's really cool. As I'm speaking to you now on the webinar, this is where we live. So in talking telepathically, it's really, really easy. If no one's at home and no one's around, my encouragement is to speak out loud. The voice and the energy and the power has more projection. If people are around, that's okay. Do your thoughts in your head. But you're having conversations with this person, you're connecting. So we're letting go of the image of a person. So if you're talking telepathically to your future ideal partner, you don't need to figure out what he looks like. But what I want to keep instilling on this webinar is, how are you feeling? How are you checking in? How are you communicating? So it's like that feeling when you're talking to him, your heart will feel warm. It will feel like a beautiful hug in your solar plexus, your stomach. You feel great. You feel joyful. So in the morning, you're saying, good morning. I really wish that you have a beautiful day today. Sending you energy and love. I can't wait to spend time with you. So you're building those conversations and that feeling. You can talk to him during the day about what you're doing. At the evening, it's something really sacred. So just before you're turning in and before you're sleeping or doing your gratitude journal, trust that you've had a beautiful day today. Look forward to connecting with you. Sleep well, and again, you build that beautiful bond. So be really consistent with that. When you're talking to, when you're thinking about people, they'll either call you, they'll either text you, you'll either bump into them. So our thoughts, with that whole part of it, it's only a thought away, it's only a click away. So we're constantly sending out that energy. And so by practicing that telepathic energy to him, then it will actually bring him to you. The great thing about it, I still talk to Merv telepathically. Yes, we live together. Does it save on texts? Absolutely. Are we on the same page? And it's just creating very much that synergy. This is where it all started with the intentions, was the 7 keys. So on the 30th of December, I felt really guided to write an article here for Lives of Women, as I'm one of the contributors. And wow, 65 beautiful comments later, I decided to do this webinar to thank everyone for being so amazing, and also to intention for true love and ideal relationship for 2013. So in the 7 keys, I'm just going to run through them very quickly. Thank you for being here tonight. As it gets closer to 9 o'clock, I'll definitely answer your questions that are coming up in the box, as well as the emails that I received. So the first one is focus on loving yourself. That's so the key that I learnt with Louise L. Hay. At that time in Perth, I probably was hating myself big time and punishing myself and judging myself for every decision that I had made and everything that I had attracted, and it was very much in victim state. So I know for myself to be able to keep light is just to kind of keep being kind to myself. There's nothing more beautiful that you can offer your partner when you feel this state. There's nothing that he needs to do because you're doing it for yourself. It's our responsibility to keep us happy. Be emotionally available. There we go, as we let go of our thoughts. But also, too, is that we let go of the past. So whatever 3 relationships that you had in the past, you can bring it into the next relationship. Often when we're in that new relationship, he may look different, but the feelings sometimes come back and things get triggered. So what I observe is going, wow, the words that come out of your mouth and the thoughts that you have and the feelings around it, the person that's standing in front of you usually gets the firing line because of the last 2 or 3 relationships that you had. We have to have a clean slate. That trust that that person that's standing in front of you wants to be with you, wants to have that relationship with you, and that as you keep evolving together, that the triggers are less. So be emotionally available, be it in your heart, be it in your head, and even in your home. Make space for that. Declutter and detox on every level. Another way to bring more energy into your gratitude journal is at least start with 3 to 5 things that you're grateful for in the now. Okay, and so that can be your eyesight, that can be food, it can be water, it can be shelter, it can be a comfy bed, it can be all the wonderful things that we have right in the now. our friends, our family. But what's really important also too is to keep thanking for the future. So, you know, I'm so happy and grateful that I'm in this beautiful relationship with him now. I'm so happy and grateful that we have a wonderful friendship. I'm so happy and grateful that we travel together. I'm so happy and grateful that he understands me and that I can be my authentic self. So, you know, you're thanking for the now, but you're also projecting in the future of actually what you want to be able to share. For the people that are married, I know that Emma's on here and Nicole's on here. I'll give you a little tip. This was many years ago. I felt a little bit uncomfortable to ask Merv to help me with the housework. I'm pretty traditional like that in women's roles and men's roles. I thought, oh, how can I ask him? So I did my journaling. And I just started to ask, went, wow, thank you, Merv, for helping me around the housework. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for this. Thank you for that. And I've never told him that I did it. And he started to do it. And I was like, oh my gosh, is he reading my journal? So that was a really great way to ask in a very subtle way, but it was also to a very, very powerful way. Often find that when you're in gratitude, more things come to you. People give you things, people offer you things, people are so supportive. But when you have that begging bowl of lack, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough energy, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough love, unfortunately, no one fills up that bowl. And that's the whole concept of that love tank, is we have to do what we're meant to be doing for ourselves. Okay, and keeping strong. So be happy and be bright and be you. Use confidence. There's nothing more sexy and more attractive when you're vibrating at a very strong level, on a high level. Everyone wants to be around you. You can be in a room full of people and you can just kind of know who are the happy souls and who are the bright souls. So like a magnet, you generate those possibilities. You generate those possibilities for every area of your life, but also too for your love life. So supercharge your attractiveness by being your happy, vibrant self. FOMO, it stands for fear of missing out. You know, I'm 41 this year. And for many years ago, I always worried, going, wow, I always thought that by the age of 30 that I would be married and that I'd have children. And at the age of 41, I can be very delightful and say, you know what, I'm really glad that I'm not married. 8 years strong, Merv and I have been blissfully together, but it's just not our thing. And I think that would change a lot. So everyone has different preferences. So one, I'm really glad that I didn't follow that tradition or that belief system. I didn't carve that out of being married. And with children, there's still that question mark. We're probably more leaning to no. So I'm glad that also too that hasn't evolved. So be careful of that FOMO, because as you beat the drum and you beat that drum of lack and you beat that drum of I don't have, universe goes, oh cool, no, you don't have it. Cool, I'll keep bringing you more of what you don't want. So don't ever work from that vibration, because usually it will sit very strongly in your solar plexus, your stomach, and it just has huge anxiety and huge panic around that. So remember that we are our own master, we're our own control. You are your own leaders of what you want and what you want to be able to create. Step by step, with love, with intention, but also with plan and with strategy. So often when we're craving something, the biggest key is that our needs haven't been met. And I would just go back to basic of going, cool, you know, as much as have I eaten today, have I slept enough, am I doing my daily gratitude, am I eating well, you know, am I drinking water? All of those things, those basic needs, is your job to be able to take care of you. And if we start to crave too much, then we lead to comfort and we lead to addictions. And addictions don't always have to be drugs or alcohol, but addicted to our thought processes, addicted to the past, addicted to drama and the distractions. So in creating and generating your own money is so important. I always say that it leads you to independence, that you'll have your own money and he'll have his own money. And when I'm working with clients, and we've gone through this, that women that have had a lot of money, if they've been in relationships, that sometimes that the money starts to decrease. And what I'm implying with that is I'm not saying that they have given it to them freely. Sometimes they may, but on an energetic level, they're being drained. And they're being drained by their finances. So be really mindful about creating your own and generating your own money. It gives you options, it gives you freedom, but also when you are together, you're creating that synergy and you're creating that collaboration. So that's really just a benchmark of going, wow, I can be single and I can be independent and I can look after my money. And together we can do X, Y, and Z. Okay. So if one person has money and the other person doesn't, then the other person starts to feel needy, and the other person sometimes feels like they have to beg for that, and then there's an incongruency of energy. So we really, in our relationships and our ideal relationships, we always want to make sure that we've got that equality in every area. And the last one is coming back to freedom, is feeling free. So if there are single people and women that are on the webinar tonight, please enjoy your freedom. You know, there's something really sacred that when you have that alone time. There's also a really beautiful feeling that when you can come home, you can just be. Of course, there's nothing more yummy than sharing that with also to your partner, but there is positives and perks when you are single, but also too that when you're in a relationship, you also want to have your freedom. You want to be able to have the opportunity to be together and do activities, but you also want to have that choice of being able to do things that top up your love tank as well as his. So, you know, he may go to the gym while you're having a massage. He may be going and seeing his friends while you're seeing your friends. If you don't set that precedence, then there'll be resentment. And if you feel like you have to give up on something, on your time or your energy or your activities early in the relationship, then you set that as a high benchmark. So nurture who you are. You're important to keep that beautiful, shiny part of who you are. Nothing has to be given up. Before we get to the Q&A, what I'd like you to do is just take a deep breath in and out, and just one more, and just check in for me. Just grab your pen and your paper, just place one of your hands on your stomach, and if there's one word that comes, just write that down. And if you feel like sharing it in the box, then please do. We've journeyed really far in this last hour. Thank you for holding the space and thank you for being here. I really deeply appreciate that. So words are coming through: confident, inspired. See, the confidence comes from you and the inspiration comes from you. It doesn't come from me by my words. It comes by a feeling. And that's the whole part of staying in. So if we turn up every day feeling confident and inspired, and there's other words that are coming through now is trust. Oh, I love that. Thank you, Leanne. Ready. Excellent. In the part of your readiness, does anyone want to meet their ideal relationship in 2013? Thank you, Linda. I'm glad that made total sense to you, sweetheart. In sharing one of your questions today, Linda, we'll just open that up, is I've met Linda a couple of times and she has the most beautiful heart energy, and she also has the most delicious, delicious hugs that you could possibly ever imagine. And there's so much energy pouring from her. So I know, my darling, when you wrote, how can I open up my heart? I don't think I've ever met any other soul that has more of an open heart and more of a generosity spirit than yourself. when you shared today about I don't want to blow it, what that implied to me was that it felt that you had done something wrong. So I'm just gently letting you know and giving you permission that you did nothing wrong. And just sit with that and breathe in that. You are so authentic that there's nothing for you to have to change. So when you asked about opening up your heart, can you just stay the magical you? It's so joyful to see you on Facebook. It's so joyful to have any contact with you. And your next partner is going to love, cherish, and adore every part of you. So it's not about keeping the faith. It's just about you being consistent with you, talking to him telepathically, drawing that in. And, you know, ladies, sometimes, you know, when we say I haven't been in a relationship for 4 years, 8 years and all of that, can we just let that go? Because the ego loves that. The ego goes, you know what? It's been this amount of time. And so we just kind of go into our headspace going, wow, that's a long time. What's wrong with me? Absolutely nothing. Okay, so keep looking at your why, keep looking at your benefits, and keep letting go of the blocks, because exactly, it's an old story and it's an illusion, and the ego loves to keep us separated. So when you start to get very reptilian, that's the ego living and breathing inside of you. Okay, but when you're in your intuition, it's all about peace, it's all about balance, and it's all about knowing. Another lady today also too sent me an email, and my encouragement also too was a part of using that sentence, what's my next step to, because she has amazing communication with the universe. But within Love Life, she doesn't feel like she's getting any signs. So I trust that being on this hour webinar and a couple of articles that I've sent, that may offer that. So keep asking what your next step is. The hurt, as I've said to you before, is that we just have to let that go, that it's better to love than not to love. I will send you tomorrow a love quiz that will also be able to help you gauge and balance where you're at with that. And one of the questions, I think it's question 3, is about our deal breakers. And so if you can write down in a very clear way and what your boundaries are, what you want to accept in a relationship, but also what you won't. The words that probably jumped out to me was expectations. Us being human, we sometimes get disappointed because we put expectations on people. So when you're talking telepathically to him, share your heart and share what you'd like to experience, but also share what you don't want to experience anymore. Because sometimes people don't know what we're really wanting. And sometimes we think that we can assume people's journeys or mind read. So if you're honest in your preparation and you're authentic in your preparation, but when you show up and that you're honest and authentic in the relationship, you are going to be able to communicate effectively because of all the telepathic work that you've done. The expectations and the misunderstandings come because we muck it up and we don't often share, and we let that past come. If those questions, Linda or Mina, haven't been 100% addressed, then you can email me and we can work that out. So if there's anyone else that would like to either comment how they're feeling, how they're sharing, if you'd like any more clarification around anything that I've gone through, then please do. So while I'm waiting for questions to come through, I've just put up here as a Say Yes to Love workshop that I'm doing this Sunday. It's an 8-hour accelerator, which is really cool. So what we'll do is we'll just speed track everything that we've done tonight on the webinar, 8 hours, in highlighting everything that I've done, as well as the book. The images on this flyer also too is really beautiful. It's a client that I have, and her name's Irene. And I've known her for about 8 years, and we've had a beautiful journey together. And Sydney-based people will know where this is. This is at Bondi Beach. And Stephen proposed to her last year on her birthday, October the 14th. There, a lovely UK photographer was taking photos, and it was only when he was developing it that he realised that he caught this proposal. So I feel deeply honoured that she's allowed me to use these images. He actually, these pictures actually went viral because the UK photographer was really interested in, giving back these photos to the rightful owner. So beautiful Irene had a lot of media coverage with all of that. So if you do book in tonight, the workshop is $290 for the 8 hours. To see me privately is $190. I'm very I'd love to be able to have that space with you and to be able to sit with you in the workshop, but also to after the workshop, in that next week or two, we can have that session together. You can go on Eventbrite and be able to book. If you prefer to pay on the day, then my encouragement is to call me or email me, and we can arrange that. So in parts of it with dating, I'll break this down. It's like, as I said, it's important that you take initiative tonight, that you have. Write down activities also too that you've enjoyed as childhood and teenager and adult, and probably start to embrace more of those activities and hobbies. Some people ask me, is it okay to date online? Wow, the ratio of people dating online is really, really huge. And I kind of go, you know what? I'm sort of an old-fashioned girl. I like to meet people face to face and feel the synergy and the energy behind that. But I think that, as you all know, that being on this webinar, you can pick up a lot of things. You can gauge people's energies and how they're feeling from a screen. It's absolutely fascinating. So in dating online, just be mindful. You'll be able to pick up an energy if you meditate or reflect beforehand. I always say a picture says 1,000 words. Person's face, you're going to be able to gauge whether that picture is for real or whether that person is there. So there's no right and wrong in that. You have to follow the energy. And if you can write that down, just follow the energy. Tonight you follow the energy and you're online. Tomorrow and the next day you're going to keep following that energy. So one of my favorite mantras of Louise Hay is that you're always in the right place at the right time with the right person. So on the weekend, do things that change routine. Often during the day, week, if you catch a bus, sometimes be guided and go, I don't know why I'm catching this earlier bus, but I am. If you're going home all the time every night, detour somewhere else. If you're shopping somewhere, go and change it at a different suburb. I'm not saying that you're going to meet him by changing your routine, but you're changing your vibration and you're changing that synergistic energy. You may, but all I know is though that for anything to change, you have to change routine. Protocol, does he pay or does he split? Any thoughts on that? Thank you for asking that. Same thing. I'm a bit of an old-fashioned girl, very traditionalist. I always say that if he's asking you, then that would be it, and I would clear that up. I'd clear that up straight away, whether it's a text, whether it's saying it. Clear it up before you actually physically go, because you don't want anything sticky or uncomfortable. You're having a beautiful night and then it's like, cool, all because of money, and money is just an energy. But go with the flow with that. If you feel more comfortable splitting, but it really shows subtly and loudly on who you are with, and it's a generosity of spirit. So I kind of look on at that as you're dating. It doesn't mean that he has to woo you, and it doesn't mean that you can't pay. But I guess it's all on how you feel and what's important to you and your value system. I trust that that's answered that. If there's any other questions, I'll stay online. If there's not, that's okay also as well. Okay, so yeah, so Leanne, are you able to, darling, thank you for putting your hand up and raising your hand. Are you able just to do a quick bullet point and type it in? See, we put so much significance in not being in a relationship sometimes. And I just want you to kind of lessen that of going, you know what, you're choosing to be single. What I'd love you to do is also is go, wow, I am single, but I'm also really, really happy with my life. And I have a fantastic life and an abundant life. And if I draw this in and pull this in, then he's just like a fantastic cherry on the top. But it's not the be all and end all if I'm not in a relationship. So let go of the significance if you're not in a relationship, but also too that when you attract and you are in a relationship, then you have to also let go of that significance also as well, because that can be really overwhelming. We're like, oh wow, I've joined the club, I'm now in a relationship, and you've just got to kind of come back to neutral. This person here is like your best buddy and your friend and your partner, and it's to share the life journey, and it's to be able to collaborate. So let go of all of those expectations. So the more that you prepare for this relationship, the more that you can ease into it. I say that the journey actually begins when you're in the relationship. That's like a full-time workshop. I haven't adored every minute being with Murph for 8 years, but I'm in a live workshop all day, every day, healing, growing, pivoting, changing, and I'm so blessed that he's so awesome that he takes me for who I am, unconditionally, always supportive, always there, every step of the way. So that emotional list, when I asked for that, wow, I really, really didn't know what I was asking for, but I'm grateful every day. Okay, so next question is, if I've ended a long-term relationship but I feel like I've been out of it for quite a while, there's a time frame before you consider a new relationship again. It's a feeling, the love life now, and just welcome that new to come. So yeah, you know, that part of that quit waiting, I would just kind of let that go, and you know, keep working on yourself and going, you know, if this is what's important to you, but you have to look at your why. You have to look at why you want to be in a relationship. You have to look at your benefits, and you have to keep looking at what would it be? What would happen if I had this fantastic relationship? You see, we're so used to sometimes just only getting a little bit that when we get all of it, it's like, wow, is the bubble going to burst? Can I actually have all of it? And to live a truly harmonious life, yes, we are actually meant to have all of it, and the all of it is you. When you get to stay in you, and when you get to show up every day as you, fully you, then clicking that into place for a relationship is going to be so much easier. So look at your rules. Like, you know, I made rules of going, oh, I can't be with Merv, you know, for at least 12 months because I've got to do X, Y, and Z. And then my impatience was like, wow, this is just really ridiculous. So that's why I got to speak to his mum and going, let's speed it up. Okay, so look at your rules, look at your deal breakers, and sometimes you just have to be flexible, and sometimes that you just have to change, because the great thing about miracles, they happen every day, all day, every day, and that you are the miracle. And being in that relationship will also to be a miracle. So be open to those possibilities. Yeah, so those benefits is like the things, Karen, that you actually want to do together as a couple, or the things that you think that will be fantastic that you'll share. So it's to what keeps you in. When, like, I'm still in the process of writing and editing my book, and Andrew's one of my writing coaches. He's written his 12th book. He's a bit of a superstar, and he said to me many months ago, he goes, you know, Sim, he goes, your value for writing is really low, even though you've been writing for years. We've got to really just ramp this up to get this book done. So he said to me, you know, I want you to sit down and I want you to write 200 reasons, 200 benefits of why you want to be a best-selling author and why you want this book to come out. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. And I just really embraced that and went, 200 reasons? And I just sat in one session and wrote to my heart's content. So things are so much easier to write because of that process. So that's what keeps me in. You know, my daily distractions, I've got a very busy schedule, and it's just like they're my priorities. So make you a priority this year, but also too, if you're wanting that relationship, make it a priority. Everything we have to do is plan and schedule, strategize for it to be able to come and for it to be. But remember, you're only one click away, because if you really, really want to be in a relationship, you would be in it right now. So whatever choices that you're making, love your choices, love your decisions, love your path. Be grateful. You know, when we talk about acceptance, the acceptance is the now. It's not about, God, my life's really shitty and it's crappy and do I have to accept this? It's like, just accept where you're at now, that you're happy and that you're single, because, you know, when you have that spiritual acceptance, it's like a magnet. Things then come to you because it's like there's movement. But if we're like bitter and angry and resentful and it's like, this sucks, it stays the same. So have the acceptance of where you're at. Know that there's movement there for it to flow. I trust that I've answered everyone's questions. As I said, you've definitely all got my email. You're very welcome to. This is the last webinar I'm going to probably say for this month, as I'm planning other things, but other programs, but I'll definitely keep you in touch. And if I get lots of questions, what I'll do is I'll blog about it, and I'll also probably YouTube with that, and make sure that they're being heard. The bottom line is, you know what you can do is, as you've done so much writing tonight and had that automatic writing, is you can also write questions to universe. And if you're in that beautiful altered state and that relaxed state, your pen will write and it will give you that. So time to jump out of our head and back into our heart. So I deeply thank the ones that have stuck around. It's been such an honour to be on this webinar with you all. If you would like to stay in contact, please do. If you'd like to book in for the workshop on Sunday, know that that extra session will be built in also as well. So have a beautiful night and keep your daily rituals going. You'll get a love email from me tomorrow, and I'll just rehash a few things and a few points that we've done, and I'll put some gifts in there also as well that can keep that love tank full. So thank you for your generosity of spirit, and we'll be speaking very soon. Thank you. Oh, love and gratitude back to you all as well. I'm glad that you guys are happy, and I'm glad that you guys feel a little bit more inspired. Just keep this energy, because it's all free and it's all yours. Sleep well, and remember to talk to him telepathically, all right? If no one's at home, speak out loud. Tell him thank you so much for coming. You can feel his energy. Thank him that he's so awesome and wonderful and kind. Thank him for the dinners that he's going to buy you and treat you like a queen. Thank you for the snuggle times and the times that you get just to sit on the lounge and hang out and watch silly movies and laugh. The times that you can walk along the beach just hand in hand, just saying nothing. Those sweet memories. Sweet dreams, beautiful ladies. Many blessings.